Yo, what is up, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Monster Madness podcast with Matt Stein. I am not Matt Stein. I am the Admiral of Awesomeness, the Emperor of Entertainment, the Colossus of Cool, the one true superstar, Captain Joe Shoes, along with my double main man from the Car Joe Mez podcast, Mez. And now I will hand it back to Matt so he can intro his own show.
I don't even think I needed to do anything beyond that. That was fucking incredible. I might just
pretty good intro.
Yeah, I might just like hire you to do show intros for us, and then I don't have to.
They call me the inspector of introductions, out on the streets.
I've heard that. Yes, I have heard that before.
The old street inspector.
Yeah,
that's fucking awesome. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know what else there is to say, but once again, we brought back the Joe Shoes, the man crush of 2023 for me. And then his co-host of the Car Joe Mez podcast, Gomez.
My very heterosexual life partner.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys have been friends for like ever, right? This is a long-standing thing. Because I have one burning question for Gomez. Yeah. How do you feel about the fact that he's always dressed like a fucking captain?
I mean, that's as far as back as I can remember. This is Joe. This is what he does. Some things have not changed in the 20 years. This is Joe, always, since day one.
It makes sense. I once picked him. Well, I guess we were staying in the same hotel, but I walked outside and he was smoking a cigarette at 9 a.m. dressed like this. And it was what, 50 degrees and raining here in beautiful Wisconsin. And all you said was never drop the gimmick.
Like, is that what I said?
Something to that effect. I was hungover.
Well,
I think you were too.
Just this past weekend, I was at Gomez's place in New York on his couch with his daughter in my lap as we were playing chess against each other. She's 8, and I was dressed exactly like this.
I would have been very disappointed if you came
no
to
one
the house
even around, just on the couch with my niece playing chess on an iPad.
How long were you up there visiting him?
1.5 days. Whenever I go to New York, I try to make it as quick as possible, in and out.
So what was your suitcase like? Just 2 Hawaiian shirts? Do you bring a spare captain's hat?
No, I have a cap. So captain's hats go through the rotations. When it's time for a new one, I usually sell the old one. So I'm breaking in a new one right now, but it's not quite ready for prime time, if you know what I mean.
Wow.
Like I wear it around the house, but like you won't catch me on a stream or anything with it right now.
So that's not the one that you have on right now, correct?
Correct. This is the old one, but this one will be up for sale, game used. Major Pod live shows, probably an FWF. I think I'd use this for FWF 5. So,
do you just buy them wholesale?
I have a captain's hat supplier, maybe.
You and fucking bulk. Dylan with his ring-worn green hats that I've seen
show ring-worn.
Up hundreds. Yeah, I guess you could call his basement the ring. So, okay, the reason I wanted to do this is Gomez, huge horror fan, as obviously am I. Shoes, you're not.
Not at all.
And listening to some of your latest episodes, I feel bad that Gomez doesn't have someone that could lovingly discuss horror with him. And since my invitation to be on your show must have got lost in the mail, I figured I'll just fucking have you both on here. So I'm not caught up, a little bit behind because I just haven't had time to listen to podcasts. So I know you guys generally try to watch at least one movie a week, or like what are your parameters there?
Yeah, we try to watch one movie, one main thing to tie the show together. We try to do at least, no matter what. We watch tons of shit, but we want to focus on one thing so we can wrap everything up and also have everybody play along and watch along with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, try to make it a movie where it's accessible for people, that they can find on a streaming service, or sometimes Gomez will stream it himself on his Twitch channel, twitch.tv/mezmovie, but give people the opportunity to come in, watch it beforehand, give them, the week's notice to watch the movie and kind of enjoy it with us. That way, when we talk about it, they can be like, yeah, that part.
I hated that too, Joe.
Yes.
So I guess without giving away what may not be released, what have you watched so far this season? And like, I'm getting ahead of myself. Usually I want to know your past, your history. Like, how did you get into horror? Like, is this recent childhood? Start from the expulsion from your mother's womb. When did this start?
Oh yeah, this is all my life. I've been a horror guy. Just watching movies on WPIX in New York and stuff like that. Halloween, Jaws, those are the two main ones I would say. Jaws, that's me and my mom. We'd watch that movie all the time. It was the best, my favorite movie of all time. It's fantastic. And then Halloween would come on, and that music, bro, when I would hear just the commercial, they would play the music during the commercial. This Friday night, dun, 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 and I would just run across the house like, oh my God, it's so scary. And ever since then, I just addicted, need to see it.
That's awesome. So you said Halloween and Jaws are your favorite movies.
Yeah.
What besides that are you like? You a slasher guy?
I'm a big slasher guy. Yes, I'm a big slasher guy. I love to watch anything. If it's a low budget piece of shit, I don't care because there might always be a cool kill. I love seeing this under the radar, like what is this movie? And then there's just some craziness that happens, and I'm like, I gotta tell all my friends about it. That's what I love. I love that feeling.
Fuck yeah. And unfortunately, your best friend hates it all. So you
Yes.
I do.
that just drives me. It's insane that you hate horror that much, but also looking at behind you. Yeah, makes sense.
That's the Big Show Bear. He protects me.
I know. I shouldn't say much. All my fucking wrestling stuff is just right in this closet. Like we had to remove a closet to put my toys up, including the exact same Brian Myers Elite that you have behind you.
Yeah, he got moved out of. He used to be right in the middle, but then I found out that Rick Boogs was a guy that existed. So Rick Boogs took over the center square.
How did you handle the release of Rick Boogs?
I was very unhappy about it. Talk about a guy who
Bullshit.
got fired through no fault of his own.
Nothing. Did nothing
That's a good
wrong.
point. Because Gomez, you kind of still watch wrestling, or do you actively watch wrestling?
He
Oh, I
watches it
love
way
that.
more than I do.
I'm the wrestling guy. Yeah, I love it.
Which is weird because shoes is shoes. The
I don't
wrestling
mix
guy.
my hobbies with my profession.
Yes. Yeah, we used to do a lot of wrestling related stuff together. Now, you don't want to be a part of it. I get it. So I watch it.
Just the
I,
other night, Gomez and friends tried to make me watch a
so
wrestling
pissed off
match.
it didn't work. I'm so pissed I
And
couldn't get it to work.
we had bandwidth issues, so thank God it didn't work. But because it was like two wrestlers that I could not possibly hate anymore if I tried. And it's one of these matches everybody's talking about. The whole internet loves it, and I'm like, no, just please no.
Did you hear that Ric Flair wants to come back again?
Of
Oh
course, why
God.
wouldn't he? He's broke. He needs money. He's
Yeah,
the fucking
well,
saddest man that's ever existed.
Got another wife to pay for.
are either of you fans of Kill Tony? No. Okay. So
No.
did you hear about him throwing like a fucking tantrum and walking off? Okay.
No, what?
Even
No,
better. So it's a live podcast that they record in Austin, Texas that's centered around stand-up comedy. So Tony Hinchcliffe hosts it. He brings in a couple friends, and then people, aspiring comedians, put their name in a bucket. He pulls them out. If they get pulled, they get to do 60 seconds of comedy. A lot of people have gotten picked, found out that way. So he had Ric Flair on, and then also found out that a bunch of his buddies were in town. So it was like Mark Norman, Shane Gillis, Ari Shafir, who do the Protect Our Parks with Rogan, and they drink all day. So they showed up hammered. And then it was Luis J. Gomez and then some fat guy named Zach Amico. So there's a ton of fucking people, and the show's generally not the most nice. Usually, if you're awful at comedy, they will let you know. They will make fun of you, like you thought you were good enough, that type of shit. And Flair, who had been drinking all day, they had mentioned this, went on, I think it was 2 or 3 kind of tirades about how he will never make fun of someone who's donating their time. And, his kid killed himself and all the shit. And he didn't want to rip on other people who are trying. And everyone's just like, yeah, maybe we should have had you watch the show first. But then he did this multiple times and then got up and walked away. And then they just made fun of him. So it's really difficult to watch. But if you're like kind of a horrible person that likes dark humor, check it out. Because, there's a couple good ones in there.
I just think we give Ric Flair way too much of a pass for being as much of a loser as he is.
I don't disagree. I feel like Gomez has some feelings.
No,
on
I agree. He gets away with a lot of shit because he's Ric Flair. Ric Flair don't mean not much to me, bro.
And also, we like to overestimate the amount of cultural significance Ric Flair had, especially during his prime. We act like he was kind of on equal footings with Hogan, when that is just wildly, wildly incorrect. Ric Flair had absolutely zero cultural significance until the 2000s when he got name dropped in a couple of rap songs. But until then, he was never in any TV shows. He was never making any appearances. It's not like he was showing up at the Grammys with Cyndi Lauper. So let's stop acting like everybody wants to make the case. Oh, Ric Flair's the greatest of all time. He's not even in the conversation.
No, definitely not.
When you say that, do you mean greatest wrestler or greatest wrestling personality? Because I will
The
not.
greatest wrestler is the greatest wrestling personality.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
The wrestling business is a business. Who makes money? Hulk Hogan makes money. Ric Flair made some, not as much as Hogan, not as much as The Rock, not as much as Austin, not as much as Cena. I take Cena 100 times out of 100 over Ric Flair.
But, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but did you hear about how Flair kind of got fucked on his contracts?
Which contract?
Well, I think it was the original one because he was getting paid $600,000 a year from OVW. And then when I'm not 100% sure that's where he was. I'm fucking like a medium wrestling fan at best. But when WWF picked him up, they absorbed that contract and then refused to renegotiate it. So he was getting underpaid for a handful of years. I could have dreamt all of that because the look on both of your faces tells me.
Yeah,
that
because
it
I'm
may
going
not be true.
OVW makes no sense to me. Like,
Well, whoever he wrestled for before. That's my wrestling knowledge starts around the late 90s, and I drank most of that away.
Yeah, so when Ted Turner bought the NWA and turned it into WCW,
NWA, that's what it is. Sorry.
So the main sticking point on that was the whole sale was contingent upon Ric Flair being part of that sale.
Mhm.
And Flair was never made aware of that. That way he can negotiate a higher rate. So he just kind of went with what was going on. But at the same time, they weren't selling tickets the way the WWF was at the time. They weren't making towns the way the WWF at one point was running 3 towns a night, A, B, and C shows, and selling out in all 3 places. The NWA wasn't doing that. They went to every town and ran the college building. They didn't run the main arenas. You know, whenever they tried to come to the Northeast, they got fucking absolutely decimated with like bomb scare looking turnouts. So, you know, I make the argument all the time. Even if you go post 1980, I have a hard time fitting Ric Flair in a top 10. I don't think it's possible to even do that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, he was never really in the running for best for me, but I grew up watching, Stone Cold Steve Austin, DX, that shit. The most Ric Flair I watched was when I was a little too young because like WCW was like WWF diet. Like, my parents let me watch that first because it was less offensive.
And by that point, he was already the old guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And to your point, like, not saying that Hogan's a good worker, but he was a good personality.
Hogan's a great worker.
Was he really?
Is a great worker. You see, people misconstrue the meanings between worker and wrestler. 2 different meanings. Is Hogan a great wrestler? Not necessarily. He's a great worker. He's one of the best.
So you're saying worker would be the personality, the mic skills, all that shit.
Worker is the package.
Yeah. Knowing when to do what he does.
I can't keep track of shit anymore. I should stop paying attention to wrestling.
So that was great horror movie chat.
Hey, this is whatever the fuck I want to talk about. And I didn't want you to not be included. I know you hate horror movies. I don't think we talked about a horror movie once when the first time you were on.
So, but the thing is, we do this thing called 6 Weeks of Horror for every year since Gomez and I have been doing this podcast because it's a way to get a non-horror movies fan reaction to what are some horror movie classics, some cult favorites, some movies that Gomez knows going in are not very good, just to get, see how I'm going to react to it. And I mean, now we've been doing this, about 6 or 7 years now. So it's become one of the most anticipated parts of the year for our fan base and our listeners.
Oh, yeah. The fans love it. Always send us the worst suggestions. Like, no, I'm not going to show them that stuff.
But how do you not just go into it and instantly have a sour taste in your mouth? Like, you're very vocal about your dislike of horror.
There are some movies that I like. There are some movies that right off the bat, I can tell I'm just going to hate from the beginning. But I try to go into everything with an open mind. I genuinely think I do. I'm willing to play the part. And I'm not just shitting on things for the sake of shitting on them when I don't like them. I come in with, I didn't like this, and here's why. And a lot of times with horror, as someone who's not a horror fan, my kind of idea of what horror is low budget, no script, gore for the sake of gore.
Mhm.
A lot of times things surprise me. We watched a movie last week called Ready or Not from a couple of years ago with Samara Weaving that I was like, oh my god, this actually looks like a real movie. Like, it allowed me to be invested in it. Whereas we watched last year or the year before, we watched a movie called Basket Case from the early 80s, where I'm like, I cannot believe that people watch this movie, let alone had someone say, you know what movie I want to make? I'm going to call it Basket Case. Like,
I
a
love it.
genuine human being existed, had this idea, wrote it down, and then decided no matter what happened in that person's life, this movie needed to be made and seen.
That's why I love movies, because of that. That's what I love. That man thought that idea, a Siamese twin in a wicker basket on the subway. I need to have this on screen. I love it. It's the best.
I kind of want to be there when the person comes up with that idea.
Yes.
Because, goddamn well, they were sitting on there like, I fucking got it. Like, I've never seen Basket Case. I have no interest in seeing Basket Case, but it is a name that I hear over and over and over again. Same with like Old Boy and Korean film. Like, I know these are very different spectrums of fucked up when you say those three names together, but I don't need to see that shit. I'm very much okay rewatching, Friday the 13th Part 2 for the 800th time. I don't want to see some of the more twisted things that exist. So is there any horror that you guys have coming up that you are looking forward to watching? Or is this a thing where Gomez is like, he tells you the day that your assignment week starts?
I don't find that.
Yes.
Maybe Gomez has an idea of what's coming up, but I don't find out until kind of right when we record, kind of last week's episode.
Yeah, because I'm gonna tell him a name. I'm gonna go, oh, we're gonna watch Ready or Not next week. He's gonna go, okay. He has no clue what the fuck that means or anything like that. So I don't tell him. I plan ahead. We we always have an idea of what we're doing. We know we're gonna do this month, this month. So like we do horror stuff in December, Slaying and Slaying, where we do Christmas themed stuff. So I already have that already planned out because I want to make sure I can find it if I need to find it, make sure it's streaming. So we're always playing ahead. But if I told Joe, hey Joe, in December we're gonna watch Bad Santa versus Krampus, he's gonna go, what the fuck does that mean? I don't know. So I just spring it on him and I tell him what it's about. Sometimes I'm laughing while I'm doing it because I know that he is not gonna like the movie. And sometimes I'm like, hey, I think you're gonna like this. I'm
Yeah,
always
for instance, this week we watched a movie called Psycho Gorman.
Fuck yes, dude.
And I could tell from
You see?
just the title alone, I'm like,
yes, I didn't need to say anything.
I am not going to like Psycho Gorman.
Have you watched it yet?
I have watched it.
Say, yes. I don't want to blow up your upcoming episode, but I'm guessing, okay.
It is definitely something that exists.
Fuck yeah. You know what else exists? Terror at Bloodfart Lake.
Mm-hmm. You see, I would show him something like that, but I know when I tell him the title of that movie, already he's going in with a certain idea. Mm-hmm. So right away, you got to make sure it's good enough. That's why I try not to pick things that he's not going to like, because it's an uphill battle, and I can't be down, 14-0 right off the bat. I need to, oh no, this is a good movie, Joe. It's gonna be good. I want him to like it. My goal is for him to love a movie. Last week when he said he loved Ready or Not, oh, I was like, yes, I succeeded. That's the goal. Make him love horror. That's what I want.
It's been a couple of years since I watched Ready or Not, but I recall I don't want to say it's not horror, but it's not horror. Like, wasn't it a little more action with like horror tones to it?
I mean, if you call it a thriller, I get that, but I mean, there's some pretty horrific things that happen in the movie that I would classify it as a horror movie. I'm very loose with my horror. Pretty much everything's a horror movie to me.
100%. I'm just trying to get an idea of what Joe likes.
It don't because there's times where I think he's gonna like something. I was like, yo, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. He's gonna love this movie. It's fun. The music. He fucking never hated the movie more, bro. He was like, what is this shit?
So I just watched it for the first time, like not that long ago. When I did, wait, so you haven't seen? Yeah, yeah. Did you know that the Killer Clowns from Outer Space costumes were used in Ernest Scared Stupid?
Oh, that's awesome. I did not.
Yeah, I learned it that night. So I think it was the same effects designer or costume designer, whatever, on both movies. That's how they reused a bunch. Yeah, you're welcome.
That's
And
awesome.
the movie just moved up a little bit in his world. Ernest Scared Stupid is an incredible movie, by the way, and I would lump that into horror. So
Yes, we watched that. We
I
did
was
that one
gonna say
time.
we watched Ernest Scared Stupid
Yeah.
for this one year.
Yeah, we try to mix it up. I mix it up.
I
trying to get
think
my
we do a good job of kind of mixing up the different types of horror.
Yeah.
You know, like we'll do everything from a genuine, what people consider a classic, or something lesser known, or something that's some kind of ridiculous cult classic. Last year, I saw, what did you make me watch? Sleepaway Camp for the first
Yes.
time. And that's a movie I've heard of, but I knew literally nothing about. And so when you hit the end, I never knew about this big iconic ending. So
Yes.
I've heard of the movie, and then when it hits, I'm like, holy shit on a stick, what just happened here?
Yeah, it's one of the few movies that, when did that come out? Early 80s, late
Like
70s,
83, I think.
83.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of the few movies that was like early 80s that, even if you know what's coming, it's still kind of a shock. And it's
Yes.
a pretty decent twist on it. That was another one that I think I saw like 5 years ago for the first time. But that girl who played that character, Felissa Rose, loves to fucking party. So if you ever end up at like a horror convention,
Yes, I've seen her
yeah,
around.
okay. I was gonna say, if you've been there, you've seen her. That was one of my favorite parts of those things. So shoes, maybe you'll run into her and you can get drunk with her and ask to see her for dick.
It's not a question that I think is off the table.
No, not at all.
Come on.
So I guess Gomez, similar question. Like, obviously, you're paying a lot more attention to the horror that's coming out. Like, what are you looking forward to this year? Doesn't have to be specific to your show, just anything.
Yeah, there's one we mentioned the Christmas horror. There's one Christmas horror coming out. It's a Wonderful Knife, which is a play on It's a Wonderful Life.
Mhm.
So I'm very looking forward to that because I love a Christmas horror, and now it's a thing. Like
Yeah.
growing up is one or two of them. Now every year there's about 7 new fucking Christmas horror movies. So bring it on.
Have you heard of the Mean One?
Yes, that is on the
Okay.
schedule for this year. Yes.
Okay, good. I haven't watched it yet. I am looking forward to it. I know there was one that I've been trying to get my hands on it took a year.
Yes,
Like,
it did
just
come
finally
out.
came
Yeah,
out on
they
digital.
just released it. Crazy, I know.
It's
But
fucking
I
stupid.
hate when they do that. When they do a 2-day release and then they don't put it. Like, what are we doing, bro? I got things to do. I can't run to the movies like that. Come on, give me a chance to see it.
Well, you'd think that they would pushed it out because it has David Howard Thornton in it, and Terrifier 2 had just come out. Which, why wouldn't you like try to
Yeah,
get the heat of the heels of that one? And now they announced Terrifier 3, so who fucking knows? But sometimes I think we're smarter than everybody.
those are movies I would not show Joe because I know he would not like those movies. And there is no point into doing that. I made him watch the new Saw movie, and as I was sitting in the movie theater, I said, "Oh, damn! I shouldn't have made Joe watch this movie."
Now, without spoiling anything, because I have not seen it yet, what did you think?
I was a big fan of it. It takes a while to get going. Like it's kind of like
Okay.
a regular drama for the first half of the movie, and then it's like, oh hey, we're a Saw movie, don't you forget? And then they turn it up to like 12 too. Like I've heard from other people who are big Saw guys going, well, that was a little extra gory, right? Like those traps were pretty gnarly. Yes, they were, folks. Good shit.
And that's a statement when you say that it was a little extra gory when it comes to the Saw franchise.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
was, yeah. I
Poor
am
Joe.
someone who I do not like gore. I'm very squeamish. So this was a movie I genuinely considered walking out of.
Yeah, you're not going
I
to want
had
to
to
see
cover
Terrifier
my
again.
eyes quite a few times. There's probably, in all actuality, there's probably like a solid 12, 13 minutes of the movie that I did not see just because I'm sitting there like this with my hand over my face, like, don't want to see it, don't want to know what's going on.
Yeah, it's rough.
Ooh, well, that makes me excited. I saw that one is slated for digital like
3
next
days. I think
Friday.
the 20th. I
Oh, it
think.
is the
Yeah.
20th. I couldn't remember if it
Yeah.
was this weekend or next week. That's insane that they're doing it, but
Insane.
I'm okay with it. I did want to get to the theater, but every time I go to the movie theater, I have an awful time. I don't like other human beings much, and they ruin things.
I,
Um,
yeah, I
Well,
hear
don't
that
worry,
all the
no one else
time.
is sitting in on Saw right now.
It's true. It's empty now. But
oh,
I
sure.
always hear that, and I knock on wood. But every time I go to the movies, I live in New York. I never have an issue. I go all different times. I praise the Lord has looked down on me to let me enjoy my movies when I go to the theater, because like I hear it all the time. I feel bad for people like that because it's like I the movie theater going experience for me is fantastic. I love going to the movie theaters, and then I hear from people like you a lot more than people from me. So I feel bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that, bro.
Oh, no. So if it's a movie that I really, really want to see, like I will insist that we go at like 11 a.m. on a Wednesday
Sure.
when I know no one's going to be there. The last time I had a really bad time was when we saw The Nun. And The Nun is a bad movie. So when you have
Yes.
some lady who won't shut the fuck up next to you, that makes things worse. So it's
Sure.
like all I remember is that there's a guy who's trying to be funny who isn't, and then
Oh,
the lady
that I hate.
next to me.
Yes, that's the
Yeah.
worst.
Did you see The Nun 2 yet?
I did not see the Nun 2. Did you?
Okay. Yes.
Is it better than the Nun? Is it okay? It's the same shit, I guess. Yeah, I'm not big on that kind of stuff.
It was 45 minutes and it was just backstory.
Oh,
Like
okay.
all the jump scares you could see coming a mile away. Even my wife is a much smarter human being than I am. And even she was like, yeah, it's fucking super, predictable. Everything's predictable. And like when I agree with you, that's bad. Because I try to be as dumb as possible when I see a movie.
Sure.
Like I'm not
Yes.
trying to figure out who the
Yes.
killer is at the beginning. I'm not trying to figure out what the twist is. I just entertain me for 90 minutes. And now when a movie comes out, they're all 2 to 7 hours. So I can't say that to you guys. I believe you both did Barbenheimer in one shot.
No, I did
Not
not.
in
I
one
did
shot. I
no.
Oh,
split
not in
it.
one shot. Okay.
Yeah.
Just Oppenheimer alone is just so long that the idea of sitting at a movie theater for close to 6 hours just
Mhm.
not appealing to me.
I got
But
fucking back pain. I can't even sit in this chair for 6 hours without
yeah,
having to walk around.
hell of a
Nowadays,
weekend, but
yes.
not something I wanted to do straight.
Nowadays, I couldn't do it, but back in the day, I've done all night movie horathons where you're there for 12 hours and the
Yeah.
terrible seats. I saw this movie Carlos. It's a 6-hour foreign drama, and like
Mm-mm.
Is
I sat
Carlos
there.
really that interesting a dude?
It's based on a true story about some revolutionary. It was interesting, it was, but 6 hours is a bit much.
My
And did you?
biopic better be like 11 hours then.
It's a
It's gonna be a
25-hour Netflix doc. Don't worry,
Yeah.
bro.
well,
We
exactly,
got
and it
you.
has to be hour-long episodes.
Like a
Every
whole hour and a half dedicated to the 6 minutes that I met Mandy Moore.
It's very important, bro. That's a whole
Oh,
episode. What are you talking about?
well, I was gonna say each year of your life is just an episode.
Oh man.
See, it's good because like I actually remember being in the womb. So like I can tell these stories from firsthand experience.
Fighting off all the other sperm to dominate that egg.
No, I don't remember quite that far, but
Okay.
like the actual being on the inside. Yeah.
So you might be the single person that can prove when life starts.
Yeah, when it's
Mhm.
when once you're out and free.
I don't disagree with you. But if you remembered in the womb, wouldn't that make you a sentient being? Therefore, were you not
Unless I
alive?
made it up, but in my mind, it's real because
Oh,
I've thought
yeah.
it.
Fair enough.
My visualization was very strong.
I like this. This is a good conversation. Let's talk more about your time in the womb. What was the womb
Oh,
like? Warm, wet,
Warm
dark?
and just like sticky, and then at some point, I just remember looking around and being like, "Well, I guess that's that."
Time to get the fuck
that's
out.
that.
Jesus Christ.
Like I was a C-section baby, so I was just like,
Oh, all of a sudden it was really bright out.
it's like
Yeah, I guess.
hello there, kind of like Wilson from Home Improvement, just kind of looking over the fence.
Did you come out with the captain's hat on?
No, there was no Captain's Hat Amazon back in 1981. They didn't deliver to my mom's cooch.
Oh, that would have been fucking awesome. They're just there waiting for you to come out and just boop, a baby-sized captain
Yeah, I
hat.
don't get a towel put on me. I get a captain's hat
Captain's
with
hat.
shades.
Wrap them up, boys.
Fuck, dude.
All aboard.
So, shoes, do you do? I know you're a big Disney guy. Do you do Halloween Horror Nights, or is all Halloween affair
I
off?
do. No. It's not that I hate Halloween. I loved Halloween as a kid, but like I just love costumes, and I love being
Candy.
slutty and candy. Like sexy costumes is what I like. Not like you get these people like the scene in Mean Girls where. Lindsay Lohan is like, oh, it's Halloween. I got to make this spooky costume. And she shows up at the party, and everybody is like, slutty bunny, slutty cat, slutty cheerleader. That's the Halloween I like. You guys would be the weird zombie people. I would be the slutty guy because it's just how I'd be slutty captain. You know, but like that's why I like Halloween.
One ball hanging out.
It gives, if you're lucky. It just that's the kind of shit I like. I like to get invested in the season, but Halloween Horror Nights, it's okay for me. Like I don't seek it out every year. If I happen to go with some people, then I go. I'm more than happy to do that. I don't necessarily like being scared. So when I do these haunted houses, I'm always like nervous and terrified, and it's very unpleasant for me. But I will do Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party at Disney. I usually do that once a year. They got some trick or treating, and then you can meet some characters who are in costumes. Like I got a picture with Stitch dressed as Elvis this year. Ooh,
That's great.
Spooky.
What about you, Gomez? Are you more of the haunted house type guy?
Not really. I've never been into that kind of stuff. I just like decorating. I like trick or treating, getting dressed up, going to costume parties. But like haunted houses, I've never been into that kind of stuff.
That makes sense. I mean, like, and you mentioned I don't dress up. I don't really care to fuck around with that, but I enjoy when other people do. I enjoy a slutty captain, slutty bunny, slutty police officer. I've always been since haunted houses are the topic is I like the scenes. Like I like to see how the shit is built, and I don't really like being scared, but also I don't find if you jump around a corner and catch me off guard, you're not really scaring me. You've just caught me off guard. Like, but I also am not interested in the more like the McCamey Manor. I don't know if either of you are familiar with that. Yeah.
Yes.
There was that documentary that just came out on Hulu.
Came out. Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I didn't watch it yet. Yeah, it's on the list. I got to see it.
It's interesting because I was familiar with it, but I didn't realize what type of person he was and
what a terrible person
really
he
was.
is.
Yeah. So I know there was one called, I think it was Blackout. It was in New York and Chicago briefly and LA, but it was like similar thing where it's like a performance piece or it's just you. Like there was no video, but you could read like people's accounts after the fact. And there was one year, I guess you would like round a corner and it was just a black dude just fucking the shit out of some white girl. And it's like, it's not really scary, but it's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. And that's kind of what it was doing. And I'm like, that's a little more interesting to me. Not that I think I want to round a corner and just, see that. But like, that's a little more playing into the actual fear as opposed to just like a guy with a bloody face popping around the corner and going, boogity, boogity, boogity.
I agree.
Yeah. So, Gomez, you have children, right?
Yes, I have a 8-year-old daughter.
Okay. How is she about this time of year? Big fan?
She likes to get dressed up. She likes to go trick-or-treating, but she is not into the spooky stuff. I've tried to ease her into stuff, and we'll watch like Paranorman, shit like that. Try to slow, and she likes it, but she's never asking for more or going out of her way. So I'm trying to ease her into it because I don't want to push it to where she hates it. Oh no! So it's plenty of time for us to watch the scary movies together.
Yeah, I think I was 8 the first time I saw Hellraiser. So don't do that.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Although I had this conversation, I can't remember who it was with, but it was like
you brought up.
What?
Look at Joe. You brought up Hellraiser. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Joe, let's if I had to rank the movies I've shown him from best to least, Hellraiser is probably the least of the movies that I have
Knowing
shown.
his dislike for gore and that shit, that makes perfect sense, and I agree with him. Like, it's just a super graphic and gory movie. But have you ever read a Clive Barker book?
Who?
No.
Like,
I
you
have
get a
not.
pass.
I've always wanted to read the Hellraiser, Hellbound, all that shit. But I
Yeah.
just never, for some reason, I read other stuff, Stephen King, other people, but Clive Barker, I never got into
He's just like, he's a weird dude.
it.
I mean, you know what I mean? Consider his movies, and then you always hear that the
Yes.
book is more descriptive or more graphic than the movie, and
Yes.
that's 100% true. So now take Hellraiser and make it more graphic and more fucking disturbing, and then probably like 600 pages. So it's like, I'm not a big reader because for that exact fate. And even listening, that's like a 48-hour book or something. Like, I tried, what was it, The Great Secret Show? I think it was one of his too. I tried listening to that, and I just didn't make it far because it's weird. But like, Lord of Illusion, I think that
Yes.
one, that I enjoyed the movie. I got kind of part of the way through the book. Same thing with Stephen King. Like, my mom read Stephen King growing up. There on their mantle in their basement, there still is just a decent chunk of hardcover Stephen King books, like the old ones, none of the new shit.
Nice.
So like, I'm like, oh, I want to read it. I remember watching it on TV when I was a kid, and then I just couldn't fucking do it. But
I still read Stephen King. I love Stephen King. Pet Sematary is probably my favorite book of all time. And
did you watch the new Pet Sematary?
Yeah, not very good.
I haven't
Not
gotten through it yet. I haven't even
very
tried.
good.
I had, so my wife is also a pretty big horror fan, so I have to wait for her for certain things. And
Sure.
15 cameras finally came out, and I forgot we have
Yes.
not watched 14 cameras, and then forgot that we did watch 13 cameras. So
I have seen
rewatched
13. I don't know if I've seen 14 yet.
I've only seen 1 through 12 cameras.
So I hear 13 and 14 cameras are very, very similar. 15 has kind of a weak ending. But I really enjoyed 13. The description I got of 14 was, it's 13 just with a family.
Okay.
Like, that's kind of what I expected. And like, not, you don't have to like reinvent the wheel when you're just adding
Sure.
one camera.
Yes.
Trying to think what fucking else came out.
Did you see Appendage on Hulu?
No. Is it
This
good?
I was a fan of this. This is a movie that I was into. I would describe it. I would say, if you like Basket Case, I know right away that this is not, but it's in that way. It's got a creature. It's about a creature.
Okay.
It kind of looks like that kind of style.
So I was just pulling up my list of movies to watch, and I saw, have you seen The Strangers?
I love The Strangers. The Strangers is one of my favorite things. It's something that I do want to show Joe. It's always been on the outside looking in.
But how do you feel about what they're doing for next year?
So with the trilogy thing, I mean, I don't care. I don't mind remakes because I still got 2009 version there anytime I want to watch it. So if you're going to give me something and make it better, all right, I'll give it a shot. I'll give anything a shot. Any movie gets a shot, even a classic like that. I love the original, but it's okay. If you're going to tell me you got some new ideas, let's see.
Well,
I've watched 12 Halloweens. Like, it's okay, bro. Michael Myers been doing a lot of crazy shit. So,
and apparently that's coming back too.
Yes, a TV show or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let it rest for a little bit. Come on. Like,
no, there's money to be made. Fuck you.
Think about more money, right? If we didn't have a Halloween for 10 years, everyone's going to be excited for another Halloween. I don't understand. Make people wait for things.
Yeah, but how much time came out? How much time came out between the last Jason movie and then the Friday the 13th remake? That was a huge turd. Same with the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Whoa, hold on here, sir. Friday the 13th remake. I'm a big fan. I love this movie. It's Jason doing Jason things. What's not to love?
I'm
not saying it's the best.
No. And in your defense, I haven't seen it in a while. I just kind of remember. All I remember is it was a time when in every horror movie, everyone was smoking pot, and then they're like, "This is how you die because you're a drug addict." So it's like a bunch of teenagers running around saying dumb shit and smoking, like, let's get high on the woods.
Well, in this one, Well, if for those who don't remember, in this one, Jason is a pot farmer in this movie, and someone steals his pot, and so that kind of sets things in motion.
I
a little
completely
bit.
forgot about that little tidbit. So fucking
Yes.
come on.
Made with integrity.
If they were smart, they would make some integrity weed for this.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we talked about Saw 10. That does come out digital on Friday.
Nice.
Onyx, the Fortuitous, and the Talisman of Souls is in the movie theaters tomorrow.
Oh, interesting.
Do you have any idea what that is?
No fucking clue,
So,
bro.
do you remember it was like a viral news clip going around, and it was like weird goth guy, and it was like that fucking nerd who talks all weird with the swoopy hair. That's apparently Onyx the Fortuitous, and now they made a movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, good for him.
Yes, of course. Good for you. But okay.
Then the new Exorcist is digital on Monday or Tuesday. Five Nights at Freddy's is next Friday.
Oh, that's right. I'm interested to see that because I've been hearing about that because I have younger cousins who've been playing that for years now. So I've always heard of it. I've seen them play it. I'm interested to see how that translates.
Did you see Willy's Wonderland?
Yeah, it was all right. It had its moments. Wasn't great.
So, Shoes, have you seen Willy's Wonderland?
No.
Nope.
Okay. The best part about the movie is that Nicolas Cage has 0 words. Like
Yes.
the fact that you're just always waiting for him to say something and he never does. So that was originally supposed to be the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and then they could not get the licensing for the characters, and then they rewrote it a little bit, and that's why it's the same fucking thing with Nicolas Cage saying.
Sure. Interesting.
Shoes, do you have any idea what Five Nights at Freddy's is?
I only know of
Yeah.
it because of the Funko Pops. That was like kind of my
Oh,
introduction
yes.
that it was such a thing.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
I was a big Funko Pop collector for a while, and I would constantly see these things, and I'm like, I have no fucking clue what this is even from.
Mhm.
So that's why I know what it is, but I've never actually like dove into finding out more about it.
It's weird to me that game became as popular as it is with like the backstory that people have found out that it's just about children being stuffed in animatronics.
It
Yeah.
is. It's very weird.
Yeah, it's fucking dark. Like if you just want to know this, it's super long, but there's like a game theory version, game theory on every game, but they're all like 45 minutes long, and there's now 9 games or some shit. It's another one coming out. It's another thing kind of turning into Saw, but with video games.
Jesus.
Maybe we should stop. Maybe we stop.
But that's like with anything, right? Like
Yes, they
eventually
never stop.
you go to the buffet, eventually you have all you can eat, and you don't want to go back to that buffet for a while. Except that no matter what the niche is, they think we have to keep blasting you over the head with more and more and more, and then you get to the point where you just like totally end up hating the thing that you like because they just won't leave it alone.
But aren't we the dumb ones then?
We are the dumb ones,
Yes.
because we keep coming back for it. Yes, and we keep
Mhm.
spending time watching it. We keep spending money to
Yes.
go see it. Like Gomez and I just recently spoke about Expendables Part 4, which made about $11 at the box office. Neither
looked
of
that
us
one
have
up.
gone to see it, but when Expendables 1 came out, I was like, well, hot damn. If they make 100 Expendables movies, I will go see every single one. Guess what?
Liar.
I only made it 3 before I was like, all right, that's enough. I've
I
had
did
enough.
2. 2 was enough.
I don't think I ever saw 3. It made $48 million, but the budget was 100. So that's
Not good.
not good. There was I can't remember the name of it, and I don't know if I care enough to Google it, but there was a horror movie that they had labeled as the Expendables of horror. It just had like everyone in it.
Had
There was
all the
no
people.
yes, and it was like some supermax prison, and Kane Hodder, Bill Moseley, Sid Haig, you fucking name it, they were in it. And then it came out and it was awful. It was
course.
trash. There was no fucking story. Yeah, it was so bad. But I imagine it was another one of those things where they're just like, if we just market it correctly, it'll make a lot of money, and it never did. But I think the issue with Expendables is that they just keep using the same guys who are now all in their 70s. So maybe Jason Statham, 56. Like, maybe we find some new people.
Oh, they try. Look at who they pick. Like it's
Yeah,
like
like 50 Cent ain't doing it. He ain't moving the needle here.
the third Hemsworth. It ain't working, bro.
Well, Dolph Lundgren's in it. He can smell crime.
But Dolph is always like the sidekick. You
Yeah.
know, he's not the main guy in these films. But
No,
meanwhile,
I
to
looked
me,
at him.
Dolph Lundgren is a bigger star than 50 Cent, or for this type of movie.
Sure.
Like Dolph, I'd prefer to see Dolph Lundgren over 50 Cent or Hemsworth cubed or any of these like other guys. But it's just like at some point the same thing with Marvel. We're overexposed with Marvel now. They've stretched it too thin. It's too much.
So I'm hesitant to make this statement because I'm guessing one of these it's like a fucking Emilio Estevez kind of thing, but there is no Hemsworth in this movie.
Well, maybe not this one, but I'm pretty sure
He was in one
like,
of them.
He was in
And
one
they-
of
He
them.
was
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's how much I pay attention to the Expendables.
Yeah.
Well, when the first one came out, and you got to remember, I'm very much an '80s baby, so I grew up Gomez to Stallone and Schwarzenegger movies. Those action movies were such a like sewn in part of our childhood and like what we grew up with. So when movies got away from that, the idea that we're getting it back with like the same people that we grew up loving was like a big deal. Like I went to see that first one at midnight. I walked out of there feeling like I just drank 11 Red Bulls. I was ready to fuck the wall if it had a vagina after that first Expendables movie.
Back when movies still played at midnight. Now the midnight release is 4 p.m.
Like 7 a.m.
Thank
yeah,
God,
7
I love
p.m.
it. Oh, there's nothing better. Fuck that.
I'm a fan too. If I want to see a movie, like I like the fact that you don't have to wait till midnight, but it's also like, why not just release them on Thursday then? Because that's now what you've done.
Yes, it is.
Essentially.
Yeah. I don't like the fact that there are 4 Expendable movies, and I'm going to assume there's going to be a 5th one.
Nah, I can't imagine.
I can't imagine they're doing a 5th one after the way
This one took forever to make. I couldn't imagine the 4th one getting made, and it did not make money, so they can't take that chance again.
Yeah, it looks like it was pretty awfully received. Rotten Tomatoes 13%, 3.4 out of 10 average rating.
Yeah, see,
Tanked at the box office. Well, do they actually have story? Like, I'm sure there's some mission.
There's always some kind of story.
Yes, there's some mission.
They're mercenaries
going
or
on,
moving weapons or doing something. But it sometimes things don't get crazy enough. Like you're there to see like over the top ridiculousness in your action and explosions. And that's like Gomez is always, it's got to be bigger, it's got to be more. Sometimes I just look at it and I go, they could have done without this, or they could have done without this person.
I fucking lost the question I had.
Well, the answer is obviously Doritos. Cool Ranch.
The best.
Have either of you had the Cool Ranch Dorito Papadilla from Papa John's?
I have not.
I have not.
Neither have I. I keep seeing it. There's no Papa John's anywhere near me. No one delivers pizza to me because I live in the middle of nowhere.
I was going to say, I figured that's all they would have by you is Papa John's.
No, there's a Domino's, which fuck Dylan and his love of Domino's. There's one about 15 minutes away. There's a Papa John's about 20 minutes away. There's actually a pizza bar 3 minutes from my house, but they won't bring it to me. I have to go there, and I don't want to leave.
That means we ain't eating.
Yeah, I've been there a couple times. They make a taco pizza, which is very reminiscent of my childhood. I worked at a pizza place in high school, and you would just take they made the pizza sauce, and then we're going to just talk about food. But it's a pizza sauce mixed with refried beans and then like a Mexican cheese, spicy sausage. You cook it, and then on top when it comes out is sour cream, onions, tomato, lettuce, and then crushed chips. So this place is the closest I've gotten to that without just making it myself. And I'm all about it. So this is actually a really good segue because Shoes, you do a lot of food review stuff.
I do.
I haven't seen what you have done lately. Like, I don't know if you put a new one up, but I need to know what's on your food radar here.
Oh my God, everybody's coming out with something new almost every day right now, especially with Halloween, all the tie-ins. And like right now, the Boo Buckets actually today, as we record this episode, the Boo Buckets just came out today from McDonald's. But what we're seeing a lot now is these fast food chains are testing stuff in certain markets. They're not getting wide releases. Like Burger King just did something where they brought out their own boo bucket for the first time, a Halloween plastic bucket with a
What?
kids meal, and it was only available in like the Atlanta area or Atlanta and
Fuck
Nashville or
Atlanta.
something. And it's like, my man, like what goes through you? Like only Atlanta wants to celebrate Halloween? Only Atlanta? So tell me how that makes any sense.
He's got a point.
Yes, he does.
But you both have Culvers near you, right? Like, shoes, they now exist in
So
Florida.
I do have a Culver's.
I do not.
It's
You
very
don't?
out of the way, but
Okay.
I've only had it once in my life.
So did you hear about the Curder Burger that they put out?
No.
What?
So it's basically a butter burger, but then there's like a deep fried
Ooh.
cheese curd patty that
What
goes on
the
top of it.
Fuck! Holy
That-
shit!
Exactly. I had the same reaction, and a friend of the show, Kyle, is saying that it's not good, which sucks because I now work across the street from one, and I always think about getting it, and then I decide I just want to go home instead of waiting in a drive-through line and reheating a cheeseburger when I get home. But like, for all intents and purposes, that should be fucking incredible.
Oh yeah.
You would think going in. Now, my experience with Culver's is very, very limited. If you go over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Joe Shoes, you can see a bunch of the food reviews I've done in the past. The one time I went to Culver's, I believe I had like a pot roast sandwich, just
Yes.
because I was amazed that I could go to a fast food place and find pot roast on the menu. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I haven't had the burger. Everyone talks it up like it's a really good burger. And the milkshakes are supposed to be something special. But I just looked at that and I said, my God, pot roast on a fast food menu. This, like, welcome to the future, boys.
That's pretty crazy.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but would you trust? So, like, my favorite thing is when I drive past Arby's and it's like, get the brisket burger smoked for 13 hours. Like, no, there's no fucking way that there's an Arby's central kitchen that is smoking these briskets and then mailing them out. So, just fucking say what it is.
Just recently brought back for the second time the Wagyu beef burger.
Yes.
Which I had last year when it first came out. And it was one of the most underwhelming things ever because, number one, Arby's is not set up to cook burgers. And number two, they were putting such a small percentage of actual Wagyu beef in the burger.
I'm sure, yeah.
It just tasted like a very cheap burger off a short order grill, like rather than, anything like actually grilled or flame broiled, or it was lacking decidedly. So I didn't try to get this year. I don't know if they made any improvements.
So they did, it was like the big game burger, I think it was. So it was like 33% venison, 33% elk, 34% beef. And it was just like a gamey fucking burger from Arby's.
Ooh.
Yeah, I ate it in a parking lot of Meijer like a rat. It was a great time.
That's rough.
And it was like $13 for the meal. And the best part was the Diet Dr. Pepper I got, because you can't get that very much around here.
You're actually seeing it a lot more now, because as more and more places change over to the what do they call those machines? The freestyle machines. Yeah. Everybody's got the diet, regular, sugar-free, ass-free, back-free, everything.
Ass-back free. Have you had the Black Fanta yet? I don't know if either of you are big soda guys. It's fucking incredible. It tastes like Shock Tarts.
Really?
Yeah, it's great.
I'm going to 7-Eleven later.
So you get cool places like that. Right now, all I have is Quick Trip, and their reward system is down. So what's the point in even going?
I'm a Wawa guy. So
see, I've never been to Wawa. I'm sorry, I just fucking killed the conversation.
The first time I went to Wawa, I was wrestling on a show in, I want to say it was King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. And one of the local guys is like, hey, you want to come to Wawa, grab food? And I'm like, I don't know what Wawa is, but I heard grab food and I'm in. And when I walked in, now I grew up with 7-Eleven. So, and 7-Eleven is nothing special. It's just a convenience store. But 7-Eleven is always the coolest because it's always fucking open. So especially when you get to be like driving age and you out there hanging out with your friends and trying to drink 40s of Old English in the woods and shit. The 7-Eleven is always there to hook you up when you need to be hooked up. Now, I'm being introduced to this Wawa thing. And not only are they everything a 7-Eleven is, but they're more. It's like 7-Eleven on the gas. It's awesome. And they got a touch screen where I can make a sandwich. Do you want extra meat? Yes, absolutely. Do you want extra cheese? Of course I do. Do you want bacon? Do you want. All of a sudden, I had a $40 sandwich in front of me.
There's a lot of options.
I failed to see the issue here. I need to find the closest Wawa. I was not made aware of the build your own sandwich touchscreen option that existed.
Yeah.
So good.
I've also only ever been to New York once. I've only really ever. I was in DC in 8th grade, and then I went to New York last September, and that was really it.
Well, I don't think you're not going to find a Wawa in New York,
Yeah, no.
Pennsylvania. It'll be Jersey. I think has
Jersey,
them now.
Jersey
got
does?
a couple. Yeah, a couple of them. Mostly Pennsylvania is where I go.
But you're also going to find people who will compare Wawa with Sheetz. I've never
Heard
been
that.
to a Sheetz. You
Sheetz
got
is
people
good. I
who are
like the
big
Sheetz.
Sheetz fans, and then Buc-ee's obviously is.
Oh,
Buc-ee's
if you're
is
gonna
like a
take
small
dump, that's where you're
town.
going.
Yeah, Buc-ee's is like a small town. Whenever you see, if you've ever been to a Buc-ee's, it's probably the size of Rhode Island. Every single one.
They're fucking huge. Have you ever seen? I think it was an Instagram fella who just walks around calling them bussies. And pisses everyone off that he says it to. Fucking Wawa just show me where they all exist. I knew that a lot of them existed in like the Philadelphia area. That's where Erica's from. She talks about it quite a bit. Look, yeah, King of Prussia's out there too. So I should probably go visit her, but there's a lot of things I'd rather do. And well, Shoes, you've been to Quick Trip, right? Our Quick Trips, not the Q Quick Trips.
I've never been to I've been to Quick Check.
Quick
Check
Check,
is what
yeah.
Jersey used to have a lot of Quick Checks.
I've never heard of Quick Trick or Quick Check. Sorry, I know that there's the Q Quick Trip in like Kansas. I've seen them there. Not quite to say as the K Quick Trip that you see around Wisconsin. Well, now in South Dakota, but I don't know. It's one of those like I ate their chicken tenders for lunch today because it was easy. I was driving by. Oh, they're fucking incredible, and they come from like dinosaur-sized chickens.
Oh,
The tenders themselves are like 2 of them will feed an adult male.
love to hear
Yeah, you can get all sorts of shit, and they're open super late. And they're building a fucking Buc-ee's in Wisconsin.
Ooh,
Around the Dells, which means nothing to either of you.
no clue.
Yeah, Wisconsin Dells is a big tourist attraction in the middle of summer. If you've ever heard of Noah's Ark in Wisconsin, it's just an outdoor water park.
I've heard of Noah's Arcade.
Oh, I just,
Fuck, man.
For those of you old enough to get that joke.
Yeah, I had a Stan Mikita's Donuts shirt at one point. It was a Violent Gentleman clothing company made one. Oh yeah, Quick Trip has full chickens now too, hot and cold. They also have like
Full
to-go
chicken.
shit. Yeah. We'll once in a while when they go on sale, we'll get one because then we give it to our dog for treats. Just fucking rotisserie chicken. No wonder he's
eat
fat.
the leftovers.
Yeah. Even their to-go shit's pretty good. They have like a breakfast stuff. Yeah, I love Quick Trip. I wish there was one closer to me, but there's they do it. I don't know if it's real Quick Trip challenge where you're supposed to stop at every Quick Trip when you're going on a road trip and get a cheeseburger. And it's like, you'll fucking die because there's
What?
5 in like 2 exits in Appleton. Yeah, I mean, any way to make Wisconsin people fat. I don't know what to tell you. I'm trying to think of another topic. We really took a tailspin there on the food one.
That's what we do. That's what
What-
Carl Gomez does.
What did you guys have for dinner? Let's just fucking keep talking about food.
I made a pork. I fried the pork a little bit with some flour, and I made a lemon mustard sauce. Very nice. Very nice.
You just had a pork chop with lemon mustard sauce?
Yeah.
No
And
sides?
some little potatoes. Little
Okay.
potatoes.
I was like, you got to have the starch
Yeah,
to go
no,
with this. Maybe a vegetable.
Gomez
I'm not
is
sure.
a cook. Gomez
That's
has
what I'm
been
hearing.
cooking for years. Yeah, Gomez does some very nice dishes. And sometimes
love to
back when I used to live nearby, he used to even come to my house and cook at my house. My
I
parents
love-
used to love when Gomez came over.
Love to cook for people. I love it. It's the best.
No, that's all. And I agree. Like, I love when we have people over and you like give them food and they're all about it. It's I don't know. Like, it's a way to show people that you care. It's like, I put all this time into this. You better
Yes.
fucking like it.
I love
Shoes-
sharing the love.
Yeah. So, Shoes, what'd you have? Was it like a fucking box of Skittles?
I don't eat dinner anymore. I'm doing the I'm trying to do the intermittent fasting, which I find not necessarily for like dietary reasons, but I find it
Mhm.
helps me sleep better if I eat much
Ooh.
earlier in the day, and then I'm not sitting on things like late in the day because I have a recently started a new job within the past couple months, so I'm a lot less active now at
Sure.
Okay.
work. So I find myself, especially once I come home and I'm doing stuff, on the computer or whatever, I'm not really moving, I'm not really active. So I find that this way of eating helps me sleep much better instead of going to bed and being like, oh my God, like why do I have indigestion and cramps? So I
I
try
think
to
you're
stick
having
to
your
this.
period.
I thought so too.
What did you have for dinner, bro?
What the fuck? Oh, I made some burgers. So we had some frozen burger patties still sitting around. So I grilled them up, two slider buns, grilled those two, some homemade pickles. I did pepper jack cheese on one, American cheese on the other, pickles on one, and then some air fried southwestern cauliflower bite things. So it was like cheese, corn, peppers, and cauliflower inside of breading. So there's nothing healthy about what I had. It's just it was fucking delicious. And I'm just hoping that it tides me over so that I, like, much like shoes, like I hate eating right before bed because it just, I don't know, you feel weighed
It,
down and it's awful.
it's definitely a difference. It's a difference just in the routine of coming home and like assuming like, all right, like I unwind from work and I get dinner ready and like all that stuff. So it's mindset wise, it's a difference. But
Hmm.
like I'm actually enjoying it. I'm a lot more comfortable. I feel less
Nice.
weighted down.
So
So
are you a breakfast guy then?
I love breakfast foods, but
Yes.
it's not something that I'm waking up extra early to prepare. So
Yes.
like
So how do you?
especially if I'm going to work, I stop at Wawa, I get myself a coffee and a breakfast sandwich
Mhm.
and I eat and then I have like my kind of like lunch and dinner like kind of while I'm at work. Then I come home and I just relax.
So how do you feel about your best friend Dylan and his stance against no breakfast food after 11 a.m.?
Dylan's a fucking idiot. Like
Unbelievable.
He did
and
ask what time we were doing this, and he is nowhere to be found. So I'm sure we're all shocked about this.
I actually he probably at the school I think tonight.
So
But
he's just a little late.
well, he's a little everything.
There you go. I'm glad you
You
caught
see
it.
that?
Yep. We call that an alley oop in the comedy business.
I like jokes.
So, yeah. Okay. So back to your breakfast thing. So, you have no parameters around when breakfast is acceptable anymore.
No.
No.
I am a if you can get breakfast at any time in the day, like have at it, Hoss, because that shit is good. I'll tell you, one of my
Yes.
favorite things in the world is a good breakfast buffet.
Oh
Like
yeah.
if you tell me you give me a good breakfast buffet and you give me like
Mm.
a make your own omelet station or like
Woo-hoo.
a thing
Ooh.
where I open it up and it's just piled high with French toast, or I don't know where we are in politics right now,
Oh
so maybe
yeah.
it's got to be freedom toast. Just you give me those carbs. Maybe you got a plate full of bacon. I could just use them tongs and get like 12
Mm.
pieces at one time. My goodness gracious. You know who used to do a great breakfast buffet, but they kind of closed up around here was the Golden Corral. The
Oh.
Golden Corral used
Hmm.
to do a hell of a breakfast buffet. Maybe they still do. It's just been a long time since I've had it.
So
But
they recently reopened ours, and I'd always remember like the once every 6 months we would decide to go for work. They were like, let's go a little later. No one will be there. No, everyone's still there in sweatpants because they don't work. They're at the
yeah,
Golden Corral. It's just a feeding trough for awful human beings. I love going, but also like, you know,
there was a long period of time where I was working overnight security, and I had my roommate worked in the club world, so we were both working nights, and we would just meet up as we both got out of work. We'd meet up for breakfast at the Golden Corral and just sit there and have coffee and talk about how our nights went. He's like, "Oh yeah, I had to kick this person out," and I'm like, "Well, I had to fire a person today because they tried breaking into a safe." It's like shit like that. You just
Fuck.
share stories. It's like being family, and it's like being at the Olive Garden. It's like watching a Fast and the Furious movie. When you're here, you're family. Nothing's more important.
I love it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that was such a perfect diatribe. Like, I don't even know what to do to counteract that.
That's what we call a wrap up.
I was just gonna say, I'm like, hey, man, it's a little over an hour. Like, it might be a good spot to tie her up and put a little bow on her. Yeah, I guess this is the fun part where you guys get to talk about yourselves. Shoes, you won't have an issue with that. So maybe we let Gomez go first.
Sure. I'm you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, the Gomez 154. Come see all the movies I'm watching. I keep a tally of everything I'm watching there, horror, non-horror. Come check it out. And that Twitch stream, twitch.tv/mezmovie. Whatever movie we talk about on the podcast, I usually put it up there. And sometimes I just pop on. I popped on Friday the 13th. I did a 5-movie marathon for everybody. You never know.
Real quick, how did you not get shut down?
I never do. I guess I just, I've been doing it. I do wrestling.
Fair.
I do horror movies. I try not to. I got one time I got in trouble for showing a movie that had some titties in it. I got suspended for a day. But other than that, I've had no issues with streaming stuff. I guess I'm low on the radar, bro.
Well, see, my buddy Brad, who's currently here right now, did the Packer game, which was on Prime, but it's on Prime and Prime or Amazon owns Twitch.
Yeah.
So by all accounts, we're like, there's no reason he should get. And I think it was 37 game seconds before he got shut down.
Yeah, they don't play.
It was fucking quick. But that's weird though. Like, and I get NFL and Friday the 13th. They're two very different things. But you'd think you would also be getting shut down. Oh, he said it was 12 minutes. But like, you're still showing copyrighted content. Sure. On a platform that anyone can watch. You should have gotten shut down, but let's not start another conversation here. Shoes, how about you?
Oh, guys, Car Jomez podcast every Thursday, wherever you get podcast, Apple, Spotify, Podbean, whatever it is that you listen to your shows, we're there. We are a general pop culture podcast. Right now, we're in the middle of 6 weeks in horror, or as we call it, spooky snake season. Why we call it that, I don't know. It just happened one time and it stuck. But for Christmas season, we do Slaying and Slaying, where we match up a traditional family Christmas movie with a kind of parallel horror Christmas movie. So we've been doing that a couple of years. People seem to dig it. And of course, we're talking about, anything else going on in the pop culture world, anything we're watching, shows, streaming. We talk about same things we talked about here, fast food, what's new, where you can get it, stuff like that. Fun stuff. You can follow me anywhere on social media at the Joe Shoes. You can help support by heading over and buying a t-shirt at prowrestlingtees.com/Joe Shoes, or check out some of my food and toy reviews at youtube.com/Joe Shoes.
I was going to say, make sure you get one of his action figures, but they're very much sold out.
They are sold out and they are shipping this week. My first ever licensed figure from Major Bendy's coming out is actually in stock. Well, I shouldn't say in stock, but has hit the warehouse and will be shipping this week. So if you were one of the few lucky ones to order it, you should have it hopefully by next week. I believe they said by the end of the week it should be shipping.
Am I going to have to mail it to you to sign, or are you just going to come back to wrestle for
us? As far as I know, I will be there for SwoggleCon 2024.
Fucking SwoggleCon. I was the one that pitched you and Rick Boogs, and I got shut down.
Well, that's just bad booking.
Well, I was told it'll happen somewhere on the East Coast, so we don't need to do it.
Honestly, the amount of people, I felt really bad when this guy got fired because the amount of messages I got that was like, oh, now we can get Shoes and Rick Boogs. I'm
finally
like, this guy just lost his job, and he's getting tagged in about 50 messages of people excited that now he can team with me after he's been singing Nakamura to the ring for 2 years.
Yeah, I think it was about 45 seconds after I saw his name on the list that I texted Dylan, and I'm like, come on, let's make this happen.
Dylan's not the best of bookers,
Don't tell him that.
I will tell him now. I'll tell him right now.
Go for it right now. Text him right now. Say we're talking shit. But yeah, no, awesome. I appreciate both of you coming on. you can check us out, Monster Madness Podcast. Obviously, if you're on our Twitch channel, you can see it. Episodes coming out as they come out, because right now is a weird time for all of us. I know we're getting back to actually putting episodes out here shortly. Erica's life settling down quite a bit. I know Podcast of Terror is coming back. That's going to be streamed live on Twitch whenever we do those. More coming soon, I guess. I don't know. I should have asked Corey before this so I could have information. But you can follow me on Instagram at Matt the Lifeguard. Yeah, that's going to do it. So Shoes Gomez, thank you guys very much. I appreciate you making this work. I know it's
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Tuesday. You guys are the future. But yeah, so you guys have yourself a good night. And we will talk to you all very, very soon.
Peace.